Louisiana. I'm from Louisiana. Bitch, I'm from Louisiana. I'm from Louisiana. Bitch, I'm from Louisiana. I'm from Louisiana. Bitch, I'm from Louisiana. We call it that boat. Bitch, I'm from Louisiana. I'm from Louisiana.
$1 million fam shit,
Louisiana. I'm from Louisiana. Bitch, I'm from Louisiana. I'm from Louisiana. Bitch, I'm from Louisiana. We call it that boat. Bitch, I'm from Louisiana. I'm from Louisiana. Bitch, I'm from Louisiana. I'm from Louisiana. Bitch, I'm from Louisiana. I'm from Louisiana. Bitch, I'm from Louisiana. We call it that boat.
How's it going, folks? My name is Sean Militello. Welcome to Off the Dome Sports. I'm joined by my co-host, Mr. Ryne Navarro. How about them Falcons, man? Blowing another 29-10 lead to Dallas Cowboys. How about them Falcons, man? Them Falcons.
That's like so embarrassing, man. I mean, they're becoming a laughing stock of a franchise. It's because they can't hold on to big leads. But you know what? NFC South loss, it means more good stuff for the Saints. You know, now there's two teams in the NFC South, 0-2. You got the Bucs at 1-1. You know, Saints. Hey, we're going 2-0 tomorrow. I have a really good feeling about it.
And we're gonna get into some Saints talks later on this show. And we're going to start off with the Pelicans. But with yes, indeed, we got the Buccaneers played the Panthers today, and the Buccaneers won 31-17. It was sort of a close game, but Buccaneers had the lead the whole time. And, of course, you got the Falcons. Fell, like F-A-R-L.
The Falcons.
Fell. Oh, the Falcons. Yeah, exactly. Blowing a 29-10 lead to the Dallas Cowboys. So, yeah, you know, you got the Saints 1-0 as we speak. Hopefully go 2-0 tomorrow. But, yeah. And we got Mr. Mario Culata. Who that, baby? Who that? We're going to chat who that tomorrow. Who that? We got some emojis, heart, for the lead, 100 sign, pound sign. That's what I'm talking about. So, let's get into the deep dive the Pelicans real quick so we can get into some Saints talk later in this show since we got a lot of Saints guys. How's it going, the Warriors? How you doing? Welcome to the show. Who dat? So let's hurry up and get this Pelicans talk. It seems like everybody wants to talk some Saints.
Everybody wants to talk Saints. Maybe we should talk Saints first.
Even Kevin wants to talk some Saints. What up, boy? Your Patriots are losing, man. What's up with that?
Let's go. Maybe we should talk Saints first, man.
Okay, let's go ahead and preview the Saints versus Raiders tomorrow, Monday night, 7:30 Central Time. We got Michael Thomas out, obviously, to the high ankle. No Marcus Davenport. Those are the big names out for the game. What do you think about it? No, we got no Michael Thomas. How do you think the offense is going to look tomorrow?
Yeah, I think the offense is going to be fine. Manuel Sanders, Jared Cook, Traquan Smith going to get a lot of time tomorrow. Kamara's going to get a lot of touches. Latavius Murray's probably going to be bigger. I hope so because he's on my fantasy team, and I had no choice but to start him this week. But, you know, I think it's going to be okay. The Raiders' defense isn't too overly intimidating. So I think we're going to be just fine. But honestly, you'd rather have Michael Thomas out there tonight because Michael Thomas catches everything, best route runner in the league, best wide receiver in the league. So, but I think it's going to go good. I'm not overly too scared. The thing that scares me the most is Josh Jacobs. But I was reading the Saints haven't allowed a 100-yard rusher in quite some time. So, if defense shows up, offensive line shows up, the Saints come out tomorrow for victory.
And Steven says the offense will be about the running game tomorrow. And who knows? I don't know if we're gonna go straight out running. You know how the Saints offense has been over the past 5 years. We like to spread the ball around, so I don't know. We just push it straight running. It just depends whoever has the hot hand running the ball or passing. And I think with Michael Thomas out, we're about to see if Drew Brees has anything left in the tank, man. Because you know what? He's working with some guys. I know you got Emmanuel Sanders and Jared Cook, but you gotta go with Traquan Smith and Deontay Harris. And then you get to the no-name guys, Marquise Callaway. I want to see him tomorrow night. I want to see him play. Benny Fowler, he came up big on special teams this week.
Yeah.
So there's going to be some guys you're going to be like, whoa, who are these guys? And you're going to see Drew Brees dropping some dimes because I feel like he's got a lot left in the tank. What do you think about that? No Michael Thomas?
Yeah, I think it's going to be just fine. Another thing to watch for tomorrow night, Cesar Ruiz first game. And, can he do better than, can he just step into the role and play? I mean, obviously, what's his face? God, I hate him so much. I can't even think of his name. Andrews Pete. But obviously, he didn't have the best outing, so you got to watch out. I mean, the guys on the offensive line need to show up. I mean, the Raiders' defensive front isn't too intimidating, but we have to show up. I mean, if Drew we saw it last year. When Drew has all the time in the world, Drew can pick apart defense like no other. But Cesar Ruiz, Andres Pete, show up.
Cesar Ruiz, his first game, and I feel like they're going to start him. I think that shows a lot of confidence. I think our guy Michael Bacco last week said they probably shouldn't start him because Nick Easton has been playing well. But honestly, if you start Cesar Ruiz, the first round pick, I think it shows a lot of confidence in him. We'll see what he's got at right guard. What up, Jesse? Big Easy, baby. That's what I'm talking about. But yeah, man, I'm ready to see what the first rounder got, man. We put all the marbles, first round pick to offensive lineman. I think he's the we draft Ramczyk. That was the last time we draft the offensive lineman in the draft. So that was what, 2 or 3 years ago, huh?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, Chucky would throw the ball more. The Saints will get a lot of possessions if Chucky throws the ball. I agree, man. But the thing with the Raiders' offense, that offense runs through Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs, he could pound it, and I don't think he's going to get over 100 yards. Like I said, we haven't allowed a 100-yard rusher since 2017, and that was Samaje Perine. He's not even a player for the Washington football team. I think he's like a third-string back for the Bengals.
We went to that game.
We sure did. That was an awesome game. We came back and beat Kirk Cousins. You like that? Kirk Cousins looked awful today. I don't know if you've seen that game. They played the Colts. He looked absolutely awful. Huh?
11 points.
11 points. How do you get 11 points? Man, they got a safety.
They had to get a safety somewhere. I mean, I
3-point conversion
earlier.
But yeah, anyways, man, Josh Jacobs, that's the main focus. I'm really not worried about the rushing attack. Like I said, we haven't gave up a 100-yard rusher since 2017. I'm worried about his receiving ability. This guy can do it all. He's kind of like Kamara, He can line up as wide receiver. He can catch it out the backfield. He's a great check down running back. The offense runs through him. We'll see how it goes with him. If he starts to have a good game, expect Henry Ruggs to have a good game if he's active. Who else are wide receivers? They got Hunter Renfrow. I'm missing somebody.
They got Darren Waller at tight end, but
Darren Waller, that guy up the seam. That's gonna be an interesting matchup. Darren Waller and Demario Davis.
Is Zach Bond playing tomorrow, or?
He was a healthy scratch last week, so I'm not too sure if he's gonna play or not. I haven't really looked at the inactives or actives yet.
That'll be linebacker's job, and Demario Davis last week in coverage didn't do overly too hot, so we're gonna have to.
O.J. Howard didn't have a big game. Gronk didn't have a good game. I think he did okay. I mean, he got a couple pressures on Tom Brady. We'll see what he's got. Darren Waller is he's like a wide receiver playing tight end. So we'll see how he does. So he is basically a wide receiver. He started off in the league as a wide receiver. So that's going to be an interesting matchup you got there. And you also got Nelson Aguilar, and you might be shitting on him a little bit because of his time with the Eagles, but he's also a speedster. And I know the secondary looked great last week with 2 interceptions, but we are known to be beaten the secondary. So we'll see. I mean, this is not going to be no walk in the park. I do expect us to win. I think we're going to win 28-17. Walk in the park. We played Chucky, John Gruden before when he was with the Buccaneers. So we'll see how it goes. Steven has a good point. Special teams played very well. We got a turnover on special teams, didn't we?
Yeah, we had that last week. Benny Fowler, I think, was the one who recovered the that pooch kick.
Yeah, and Steven is right. We do got a special bunch of guys. You got Justin, J.T. Gray, Benny Fowler's been playing the special teams. You got Taysom Hill on the special teams, Mr. Swiss Army Knife himself, a.k.a. Marmon Missile.
One who blocked the field goal.
Marcus Hunt today, I think, is one of the big reasons why we kept him. So, yeah, he blocked the field goal. They came in clutch last week. Part of the big reasons we won that game last week. So, what's your score prediction for Saints versus Raiders tomorrow night?
I'm kind of the same ballpark as you, 28-17. Maybe we'll throw up 35 just for the heck of it, But, yeah, I'm not overly too concerned about it. I think it's going to be a 2-3 score game no matter what. Obviously, the game's on primetime just because it's the first game in Las Vegas. I was actually planning on going to this game prior to the COVID madness. So, yeah, it's kind of depressing not being able to go to it. But, yeah, I'm predicting 2-3 score game for the Saints.
Yeah, I think it's going to be close all the way up to the fourth quarter. I think it's going to be a somewhat close game. This is not a team to sleep on. They got in the shootout last week against the Panthers, and they won, I think, 35-31, I believe, something around that range. Henry Ruggs looked good. Nelson Aguilar looked good. Both fast guys. Darren Waller looks good. Derek Carr looked good. Josh Jacobs always looks good. Steven says 27-13 Saints, which is a good position. Good score. I don't think that's a good prediction for you. But, yeah, I mean, I think we're ready for this game. No Michael Thomas. Let's see what these other guys got, man. I'm really big on Traquan Smith to see what he's got. This is his time to shine. If he doesn't shine this game, then, man, we might have to give him the boot, man. Give him the boot.
And, Drew, I don't think Drew has a record on the line tomorrow. So, yeah, he really needs to step up because the only time he ever steps up is when Drew has to break a record. So.
That is right, man. He always seems to be there when Saints, have to when the Drew Brees has to break a record. But yeah, man, we'll see what Traquan has to do. I think they might move him over to the outside. Not too sure what they're going to do with him. Obviously, Emmanuel goes to number 1. You're probably going to see a lot of Taysom Hill at wide receiver. I do believe they might play him a little bit more. Get some weapons in. Jared Cook.
A lot of Jared Cook.
Right. So, I mean, Jared Cook, you're going to see Kamara, a lot of receiving for Kamara. And like you two said, Steven and you, Ryan, said Latavius Murray might get some action with running the ball. Kamara with more receiving. So, I think it's going to be a good game. I can't wait to watch it tomorrow. Unfortunately, I work, but the good thing, we have TVs at work, so I get to watch it while working. So.
Who might be an X factor, who you didn't mention, would be Deontay Harris.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right.
Probably gonna get a lot more action with MT out, especially if we need a spark. That little speedster can freaking fly. So.
No telling what we do. I mean, you got Sean Payton running read option last week. He went into I think it was a 3-back set. You had the quarterback in the middle, two players there, and one player in the back. I don't know what the hell that was, like some type of triple option play. He's got some tricks in the bag. We're about to see what Sean Payton has in his bag. I don't know, man. This is some crazy times. Sean Payton is thinking out the box these days. We don't know what is in his head.
Yeah.
So
And, he was upset with himself last week. I don't know if you watched his press conference after the game, but he was really upset with himself, especially with how he called plays in the the third quarter. So I don't think he's going to let himself down. I think he's going to go more with his gut and not try to play the game, and really just try to put it on them. Make sure the offense flows. But you're seeing a lot of teams uh, kind of get into that little sluggish phase, whether it's on one side of the ball or the other. But like I said, I'm not really too worried about the Raiders defense. I don't think they'll make us stagnant like the Bucs defense did. If the offensive line shows up, I think it's going to be a good game.
and yeah, if you haven't yet, give us a like, comment, and share on this post, and give us a like on Off the Dome Sports as well on all social media platforms. But anyways, Steven, this makes another great point. Defensive pressure. You seen Trey Henderson came in for Marcus Davenport last week and did a fantastic job. He's going to have to do it again. I think he will. I, the Raiders has a decent O line. They drafted a guy, Colton Miller, out of UCLA last year. He done a pretty good job. They got a pretty good offensive line. So we'll see how our D line matches up with them. Defensive pressure is key. We don't get pressure on Derek Carr. I can see those wide receivers they have, the Speedsters they have at wide receivers, even Darren Waller at tight end. They can absolutely burn us if we don't get pressure on Derek Carr. And John Gruden might, expose that a little. So I think defensive pressure is a good one. I think Steven mentioned that pretty well. So
I think first things first is going to be taking away their running game, try to make them more predictable. Obviously, if we take care of business like we've had in the past few years with the run game, the Saints shouldn't have an issue. Make the offense really predictable. So shutting down Josh Jacobs, I feel like be first things first. And I think the Raiders know that. I think they know that they're going to have to rely more on the passing game than usual just because of how our defensive front and linebackers handle the run game. So it's going to be key for the our DBs to really have a good game tomorrow. We saw some miscommunications last week, especially with some of the older guys like Malcolm Jenkins had miscommunication. Demario Davis had miscommunication at one point. So it's going to be key for some of those for everyone in the secondary to be communicative and really watch out for their wide receivers.
exactly right, and I think that's a big key. I think the last time we played the Raiders, we lost a very, very close one in the dome. I think it was the first game of the season, Derek Carr's rookie year. So hopefully we don't have any flashbacks from that. I think Jack Del Rio was the head coach for the Raiders at the time.
That was the year we went 0-3 and then went on tear.
Yeah, that was Alvin Kamara's rookie year. I believe Michael Thomas's rookie year as well. Yeah, second year, and then you had that loaded draft class we had. So, I think we're a little better since then. I would say so, but honestly, the Raiders are a little better too. So we'll see how it goes. And it's exactly right. Division pressure gives Jenkins a lot more a chance for picks. That's exactly right. I don't see we're gonna have a problem with Lattimore. It's Jenkins that I'm worried about. I know he had an interception for a touchdown. He played well last week, but he tends to get burnt sometimes with no pressure. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Obviously the Saints are favored to win, so we'll see how it goes. Back to back. Yep, we played the Packers next week on Sunday Night Football. So
that one worries me. The Packers been playing good. Last week, Aaron Rodgers slid it through the air. This year, it's through the run game. So it makes me kind of worried, especially with no fans in the stands. Like it's, I know people don't like to say anything about that, but I think that's a huge reason for many of the Saints' successes.
Is it at home or is it at Lambeau?
It's at home. It's in the dome.
Okay.
So at least you aren't in the frozen tundra.
We should have like 25% capacity, right?
No.
No fans?
New Orleans the mayor won't allow fans into the Superdome for that game. They said maybe the Chargers game week 5.
Well, we'll see how that goes. The Packers, we'll talk about the Saints Packers next week. That's definitely going to be a tough game. Aaron Rodgers, a guy that I criticize a lot, man. He is on fire right now. I am kind of scared of him. He's playing like his old self again. I think it's that rookie quarterback they drafted in the first round. They light a fire under his ass. That's why he's playing his ass off. But anyways, that's our preview for the Saints versus Raiders on Monday night tomorrow. Come back for tomorrow. We'll do a Saints versus Raiders recap after the game with me. I think, Ryan, you're coming on, right? You said you're coming on?
Yeah, I'll come on.
So, yeah, we'll do the recap, Ryan. And I'm pretty sure we're going to get our guy Michael Bacco to come on as well. Who Dat Dish contributor. He writes some articles for them. So, catch us tomorrow and talk about Saints. So, let's get into a deep dive with these Pelicans with some rumors, and Rodgers is a beast, but Adams will be out, maybe, possible. We'll see. But let's get into some Pelicans talk. So the recent rumors has been surrounding with the Pelicans. You have Mike D'Antoni being rumored to go to the Pelicans. You have the Drew going to the Brooklyn Nets. That's another rumor. And then Lonzo Ball going to the Knicks. That's another rumor as well. All these trades. What do you think about these rumors? Let's start with D'Antoni. What do you think about D'Antoni going to the Pelicans? Give your thoughts on that.
At first I hated it. I ain't gonna lie. I was like, if D'Antoni's gonna coach this team, we're going to go in a completely different direction. I was like, people complain about Gentry, so why would we do D'Antoni? And then I started to really think about it. I was like, we got D'Antoni offense in Houston. It could have, the defense effort could have been better if PJ Tucker was thicker. And you know what? Who's thicker? Zion. And, me and you kind of talked about it at the beginning of the year, a lot of small ball with Zion. It could actually work. I mean, you can throw Zion in at the 5 and you can put BI at the 4, possibly. I mean, you'll have to see how stuff works out. I don't think the Pelicans are bulky enough. But if they are bulky enough, I would really like to see the D'Antoni move. But, it's so wishy-washy. And you just don't know how D'Antoni's going to be, how Griffin wants to be. Obviously, Griffin and D'Antoni had a little bit of a connection back in the day. But I think he's another Alvin Gentry type. I mean, obviously, his accolades are a lot better than Alvin Gentry, but he's coached a lot better teams than Alvin Gentry. But I would be intrigued if D'Antoni's a coach. I don't think he's the right guy, but it would be intriguing to see Zion play the 5 the way PJ Tucker did. And, if we can put Zion at the 5 and get 4 shooters around him who can be nearly knocked down, I wouldn't have an issue with it. But not sure what Griffin has up his sleeve. I would think if we were going to hire D'Antoni, we would have already did it. Now, there was that rumor that he was going to go to the Pacers, but so maybe that has a little bit to do with it. But I really wouldn't think if Griffin wanted D'Antoni, he would have hopped on board right away.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right. I think I don't know. I think David Griffin and Langen's got something up their sleeve that we don't even know about. But here's my views on it. I would love that D'Antoni, and I agree with you, Steven, know that D'Antoni, he is 69 years old. That's a big part of it. And he doesn't coach defense, just like Alvin Gentry. But here's my opinion. I would love D'Antoni's scheme with the Pelicans, because Zion at the 5 would be highly explosive for us. But I don't want D'Antoni's coaching, because we got such a young team here in New Orleans. I think we need somebody that's going to keep them accountable. And I think a big part of Alvin Gentry's problem was he didn't get these guys accountable. These young guys need to learn. They need to be held accountable. And that was a big part of Alvin Gentry. Alvin Gentry, he's a decent coach, but he's a player's coach. I think he's going to have his best basketball when he has already matured players. He cannot coach young players, and I think Mike D'Antoni is the same way. We need somebody that's going to be good with the players, have a good relationship, but also hold these guys accountable, and that's what we need with this young team. Um, not Landon Donovan, that's Billy Donovan is a perfect example as a coach. We could bring in a former Florida Gator head coach. He's a legend head coach out there. Obviously, he was just with the Thunder. Him and CP3 had a good going on there. But, I know he came from the college ranks, but he also, when he came in the league, he also had to deal with already established players. Brandon Ingram, even though he broke out this year, he's not totally established. Obviously, Zion's not established yet. He's just started. Lonzo is still having trouble establishing himself. He's like barely on the bridge. He still needs something. He needs something to go on with him. So, I mean, your only guys that are established, Drew Holiday and JJ, and they might not be on the team next year. I'm speaking more towards Drew, and I know a lot of Pelican fans are going to come at me for saying that. But it's a huge possibility, and we'll get into that later. But, I would love to scheme, though. Zion at the 5, Ingram at the 4. Even if we keep Holiday at the 3, JJ at the 2, Lonzo at the 1, that would be a highly explosive team coming out at you. So we'll see how that goes. This fast-paced offense requires a lot of turnovers on defense and requires defensive rebounds to even consider the small basketball lineup. So you would have to work on defense a lot, trying to create turnovers. You have to play perfect defense. You just got to create them turnovers. And that's the key to that small ball lineup. And that's what makes it successful. So that is what it is.
But, I mean, at the same time, we'll have to get rid of Jackson Hayes. I mean, if you want to go full-on small ball like the Rockets did, you have to get rid of Jackson Hayes. I don't like Drew and Ingram playing together. I just don't, because they kind of both have the same purpose on the offense. And so I would rather see a shooter in. But the small ball, I like the idea. I think it's something kind of dynamic, especially with Zion being a defensive end playing basketball. But I'm still skeptical. And I really would hate us to let go of Jackson Hayes and Jackson Hayes blows up. So there's still a bunch of factors to it. But I think, man, it's just so hard. And I'm still on the Becky Hammond train just because I think she's kind of the gritty coach that we need under the Pop system. But there's no rumors about that. Plus, there's very little rumors in the first place because Griffin doesn't let anything out. So it's just people speculating, really. I mean, everybody knows the Knicks want Lonzo, and they somehow want the number 2 pick so they can pick LaMelo. So it's just a bunch of speculation going along, and we have no idea what's going on because Griffin doesn't let out hits.
Yeah, and I agree with Steven right here. We do need a veteran point guard leader. I seen CP3's been mentioned out there. Somebody of that caliber that can run the offense and still be productive. I know we have Rondo, all that, but somebody that's way more productive than him on offense. CP3 would be a great reunion. I know he's rumored to come back. I don't think it's going to happen. His contract's a little too big, getting paid $40 million for the next 2 to 3 years. But a guy like Chris Paul, even if we have to trade Drew Holiday, would do wonders for this team right now. I don't know how it would do long term because he is a little older. So, but CP3 was Zion in the pick and roll. CP3 was Jackson Hayes in the pick and roll. That would do some damage. Yeah. And it would also help Brandon Ingram as well.
And if we get CP3, and obviously Griffin has a couple other little tricks up his sleeve, but I really like Cole Anthony coming out of this draft. And that's who I really want, because if we get like someone like CP3 who can mentor Cole Anthony, I think that would be really good for this franchise going forward. I mean, obviously, we're about to lock up BI. No matter what the Pistons say, we are about to lock up BI. Zion's going to be here for another 6-7 years for sure. So, if we can get CP3 for a couple years, mentor a young point guard, show him the ways and show them how to really run an offense, I think it'd be really good for this team.
And I certainly agree. And maybe we can do some type of trade, maybe through like a 3-team trade. Maybe have a 3-team trade. And I thought about this: Thunder, Pelicans, Pistons. You send Lonzo to the Pistons. You send Drew to the Thunder. We get CP3, D Rose, and Luke Kennard. Obviously, there'll be some other pieces involved to make that trade work, such as some salary cap fillers and first rounders. Why do I want D Rose? Because dude can ball out. He'd be perfect off the bench. He could be our 6th man.
D Rose don't want to be a 6th man. Honestly,
he was a 6th man this year before all the players got hurt for the Pistons.
Honestly, D Rose as a starter on the Pelicans, I would love it.
Oh yeah, I would love that too. Send Lonzo just for D Rose and Luke Kennard. Dude, you might have something there, and maybe draft a guard with your pick, and he can learn D Rose. There's a whole bunch of trades. So let's get into these trade rumors. I heard that the Nets are highly interested with Drew Holiday. Kevin Durant went on JJ Redick's podcast to talk about how Drew is one of the best defenders in the league, not if the best. It might be a huge possibility. I've seen where the Nets would trade Spencer Dinwiddie, Jared Allen, Lusa, and their first round pick for Drew. What do you think about that trade? Do you like it or what?
I like it to an extent. Obviously, Dinwiddie's on a expiring deal. Jared Allen, I think he might be able to develop really well under our development team. We got some solid development coaches. At the same time, man, I really, someone like Caris LeVert would be someone that I would rather over Dinwiddie, because I think no matter what, Dinwiddie's going to be a rental. I don't foresee him staying in New Orleans. I don't see him staying in
expiring contract. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so you'd rather get someone who's not a rental. I mean, I know JJ Redick considerably is a rental, and he went off the record last week saying that he wants to win a championship now more than ever. So, of course, we're not in that position right now. We're 2-3 years away from that position. So I don't think JJ's going to be back. But I really want shooters on this team. We don't have enough. We need some guys who are 3-and-D type of guys. We don't need the old slashers or anything like that. I love Josh Hart to death, but we don't need those type of players. I still like Josh Hart. I think he brings some grit that the team needs, definitely off the bench. He's always bringing energy off the bench. But I feel like we got too many of those guys. Nickeil Alexander-Walker is so streaky. Etuan Moore. I mean, we have so many of those guys who are kind of inconsistent, kind of just do their own thing when, in the end of the day, we got B.I. Zion to sit there and drive through the lanes. I mean, you can even put Drew Holiday in there to drive through the lanes. So why do we need more guys who can just sit there and drive through the lane? Why don't we have guys who can just sit in the corner to where the defense can't help, so that we can get open shots either in the lane, or if the defense does come and help, you just pass it out to JJ for 3. I mean, it's kind of just a simple offensive scheme. I mean, pick and roll, shooters in the corner, and see what the defense do. Make the defense adjust. But that's what I feel like the Pelicans need to do. That's kind of like what the Warriors did forever. They just had Klay Thompson and other people sit in the corner and shoot threes all day. I mean, Klay Thompson doesn't take any dribbles a game and scores 30. I feel like we need guys like that.
I think the Miami Heat is another good example with Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero. They're one of the best in the leagues, man. Duncan Robinson, man. I wouldn't mind trading Drew for like a Duncan Robinson or Tyler Hero. And I don't think they would even accept that because they're huge pieces of that team. And I think
Yeah.
you're exactly right. You get a CP3 type guard, um, and then you get your shooter at the two. Obviously, you got Ingram. Then you got Zion. And you got your Jackson Hayes at center. But you're exactly right, Ryan. I think we need more shooters. And it's crazy to think we need more shooters and we're a top 10 3-point shooting team. It's just the bad thing is most of them 3-pointers probably came into fast pace. These weren't 3-pointers that were off the inbounds plays or off of inbounds full court. These were all fast paced threes, to be honest with you. So um, I think we need more shooters. Stephen mentioned it earlier. We need learn proper spacing. We need to learn how to use the shot clock. Um, run it a little bit. Run more spacing, keep it going, cut to the basket, and all this other stuff. It's frustrating at times to watch the Pelicans, and
I mean, but as a young team, you don't really need to drain the shot clock. I mean, when you got a
yeah,
team Nuggets and Nikola Jokic can't run for 30 seconds straight, then yeah, you need to run the shot clock. But when you have a young team, you don't need to run the shot clock. You
right.
know, but it's like my old basketball coach used to say, offense is a time for you to rest if you need a rest. But the good thing is, all these guys are young and they should be in good condition. So there shouldn't be that time to rest. If you want to rest, there's media timeouts in NBA. You don't get those anywhere else. So, you know, just play balls to the wall for however long and let it work. Give 110%. Let it work. You don't have to sit here and set up a play. You don't have to go down the corner and go 1-1-1. You don't have to do that. There's so many Pelicans fans that want that for some reason. It's NBA. It's a players' league. Let motion happen. Run the dribble drive, run pick and roll, do something. But don't sit there and run down the shot clock with a team where your oldest player is 24.
Yeah, I mean, and then I actually disagree with this comment right here. We need to know the coaching. I can promise you, Harold, coaching is going to have maybe 10% of who we get as players. I honestly think we might go players first before we get a coach. We'll see. I don't know how it's going to go. I actually disagree with this comment. Whoever we get as coach, I don't think it's going to have any effect who we get as players. It's whoever we're going to get best available for Drew. We're probably not even going to trade Drew, to be honest with you. We might end up trading Lonzo. I think we will trade Lonzo. We might not trade Drew because we might not get back in return for Drew, so we might end up keeping Drew. So I actually disagree with this comment. Steven is right. We do need to control the turnovers, and a lot of the fast pace was a cost to this turnovers. And what I meant, Ryan, by maybe slowing it down on a little offense, you can't really run fast pace on offense when you're not getting defensive rebounds or turnovers. Fast pace is when you get the defensive rebounds and turnovers. You run a transition. When you're bringing the ball up now, when the other team scores, that's when you gotta get the motion going. Like you said, take your time. You can't just go balls ablazing and all this stuff right here. This is where the veteran guard play needs to come in, and this we need to control the offense. So we'll see what happens.
I'm still highly opinionated on that because who's out of the guys who make the most turnovers, outside of Zion, who do you think makes the most turnovers? Drew
Drew
Holiday.
probably.
Drew
Mhm.
Holiday. He's the most veteran guy we got on the starting lineup. Yeah, he's the one getting the most turnovers. So that's just my opinion. But I like the faster pace. We saw the Warriors dominate forever playing the faster pace. At times they could slow it down, but they did their bread and butter on that, and their bread and butter was small ball. No matter what people say, how tall Kevin Durant is, Kevin Durant is a glorified two guard. He's a 6'11" two guard. That man has no strength. My pinky is bigger than his leg, so yeah, he's a glorified two guard, but like I said, I'm a fan of the fast-paced offense, especially you get shooters around. So we'll see what happens. There was also that trade that circled around that with the Warriors and Knicks, where we got rid of Holiday and Alonzo and got the number 8 pick. It just kind of feels like no matter what, we're just going to keep on going through like this rebuilding phase when we're not really rebuilding anymore. Like I liked it because we got the number 8 pick, and I feel like that will for sure make us pick Cole Anthony, but who knows?
And yeah, I agree with Steven here. Drew is not a true point guard, and honestly, I don't think he fits on his team. I know he provides a lot of the defensive presence, but honestly, we're almost bottom in the league for most of their defense. His defense is not really doing anything, anyways, and his offensively, he does not fit in with us. We need a shooter at the two guard. AJ should be starting, in my opinion.
Yeah, Danny Green type of player, that too.
Danny Green, yeah, exactly, 3-and-D guy. So Gentry let Boogie Cousins bring the ball up when we had Ron. that was, I remember that.
Gentry had kind of a wise idea with that. Run like kind of the Twin Tower set. I mean, hey, Pop had like Tim Duncan running the offense when it was him and David Robinson. So why not have Boogie run it? But I mean, we can all acknowledge that some of Gentry's decisions weren't the best. But we all know Rajon Rondo coached that team and not Gentry that year. But that shows the importance of a veteran point guard and a really good point guard is really knowledgeable of the game. Is having that on the court coach basically, as opposed to having Gentry on the sideline who looks like he just smoked a blunt.
He probably did, honestly. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it just so happens that he probably was. I think somebody caught him smoking a blunt there in the march they had in New Orleans, didn't they, or something like that?
Yeah, someone said you smoking. He told someone, he said, "You're smoking a good one."
Alvin Gentry, man, I'm gonna miss his character, man. He was good. He's a good character, and he might not have been the best to coach, but he was just good for the players to be around sometimes, just as a person. But might not always be good for coaching. But we look at it. Let's mention that Warriors trade before we wrap up this show. We've seen the Warriors were interested in Drew, and we've seen a potential speculation trade with the Warriors, Knicks, and Pelicans. The Warriors will end up sending the number 2 pick and Wiggins to the Knicks. We end up sending Drew Holiday to the Warriors, Lonzo to the Knicks. We get the Knicks pick, RJ Barrett, and we get a future first round pick. I think that's how it went, right?
Yeah.
Right. So
I feel like RJ Barrett could be good off the bench, and him and Zion can fill at home.
Yeah, that'd be a little reunion they have. And RJ Barrett, man, I think he could play the 1. I think he played the point guard, man. He's another guy that is more like Alonzo and Drew Holiday in terms of offensively, but he can finish. He can finish unlike Alonzo, and I feel like when you work that pick and roll with him, he can also be a good point guard. It's going to take some time for him to learn how to play point guard if he does. I know I've seen the Knicks were trying to groom him into a point guard at one point. I don't know what the Knicks were doing. The Knicks are just an awful franchise, period. But, I think he has potential to be a point guard, just because of his play style. He likes to have the ball in his hands. He's a lot like DeMar DeRozan. So you're going to have a DeMar DeRozan type player at point guard. You have your shooter. Get your shooter at 2, which would be at JJ. Then you have Ingram, Zion, and then whoever you want at center.
Hey, you want to know a fun fact?
What?
I read this last night, and I thought it was astonishing. Lonzo Ball has more songs on Apple Music than he made free throws last year. He has
Wow,
44 songs on Apple Music and only made 43 free throws last year.
that's sad, man. And Lonzo could make and Steven says it's not Griffin trade. I don't know, man. It could happen, but Lonzo, man, he would be such a better point guard if he learned how to shoot free throws. That way, he can actually go attack the basket like he's supposed to do with his 6'6" having ass. So, like, you know, you got this mismatch at point guard, and you're not even exploiting the basket like you should.
And it will make him even more with him developing the outside shot. It will make him even more unpredictable.
Exactly.
You can pump fake and drive by people, but I attribute that his bad free throw shooting to why he doesn't drive. Someone can just hammer him and they know he's going to go 1 for 2 from the line. I mean, that's basic math. Either he can get 2 or he's going to get 1. So I mean, 2's more than 1, but 3's more than 2. I mean, that's my 2K logic. Uh, I think that was Steve Kerr's logic for a couple of years, but yeah, I mean, Lonzo can be such a dynamic player if he just figures out how to shoot a free throw, which is kind of just astonishing for a guard. I mean, I know big men have trouble with it because big men have bigger hands, and they got sometimes when they up here, the ball is kind of even with the rim. So, but I mean, Lonzo's 6'6". He should be able to shoot free throws at least 75%, and that goes for the whole team. I mean, how many people do we have that shoot 80% from the line? Brandon Ingram and JJ Redick. I think that's the only two that shoot 80% from the line.
It's
So
probably just JJ, to be honest with you. And he
no,
shoots
Brandon
over
Ingram was
90,
80%.
80%.
Yeah.
And I think Steven is right. He might need a veteran point guard to help him out. But I think that wraps up the Pelicans talk. Anything else you want to mention about the Pelicans? Any other rumors?
Like you say, man, it's more speculation than rumors because we don't really hear too much coming out. I mean, if we hear stuff coming out, it's not from the Pelicans; it's from the team the Pelicans are talking to. Like when the whole
Right.
CP3 stuff came out, it was like, okay, the Thunder leaked that the Pelicans made a call about CP3. So it's hard to say anything. I mean, I just looked up on Google. I looked up two pages of stuff, and it was just fan sided stuff. So it's really just a bunch of speculation going on throughout the Pelicans franchise. So it's just hard to say um, what exactly the Pelicans' plan is. I mean, obviously they got to pick a coach at some point. But I mean, there's speculation over them trading Lonzo that Lonzo didn't want to be in New Orleans. There's speculation on them trading Drew Holiday just because I think everyone's starting to figure out who knows anything about basketball that Drew Holiday just isn't a good fit in New Orleans.
And yeah, man. Thank you, Steven, for joining us. I really appreciate the comment. You made some great points. But yeah, Ryan, I certainly agree with that comment. And who knows what's going to happen? David Griffin and Lincoln are being very mysterious. And I'm kind of like, I'm just losing my mind. What the hell are we going to do? But let's go back to one of these comments real quick by Gabe O'Leary. He says, "Why does Ryan talk more about Brady than Breeze?" I don't know, Gabe. You still watching? Come on the show. We'll debate Breeze Brady, and then we'll show you who's the better quarterback.
Yeah, Gabe was making hot takes about Anthony Davis the other night, so I'm not sure if he's the one to talk about who's the best quarterback in the NFL.
And I hope so, Steven. I hope so. CP3 back to Noah would be a dream. I didn't like him when he went to the Clippers, but I liked him. Now I forgave him. But
I
you
liked him
can't
when
blame
he
the
picked
guy
UO last
for leaving
week.
in the first place. What'd you say?
I said I liked him when he picked UO last week.
He picked you out. You out 2-0 now. 2 and
2
0.
19 in the AP poll until all the Big Ten teams get back in. So just relish it for now, I guess. I'm hoping I get
And
to go to the first home game next week. So
oh, Well, you got the Saints. I'm not Saints. LSU, Mississippi State next Saturday. That's
Mike
going to be
Leach,
a good
first
one.
game in the SEC. Gonna be
First,
interesting.
yep, Mississippi State. Anyways, let's get this show on the road. It was a good show. Any last sayings, Ryan? Anything else?
Hey, go Saints, beat the Raiders, and then get ready for the Packers. But hopefully we don't overlook the Raiders. But I don't think we will. And even if we do, I'm not overly too concerned. Contain Josh Jacobs, kind of make their offense predictable. Jack Rabbit grab a pick six. Marshawn Lattimore play lockdown D like he did against Mike Evans. I think it's going to be a good night.
Who dat indeed, Steven. Who dat?
Who
Who
dat?
dat? Who dat? We dat. So that wraps it up on Off the Dome. Make sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. This is the best show to find the latest content about Saints, Pelican, LSU, UL, whatever Louisiana sports you can think of, we'll talk about it. So join us back tomorrow. Saints versus Raiders recap. We'll see you then. Who dat?